My next guest knows the untold stories from the internet underworld. In fact, he wrote a book called Millionaire Within. E. Brian Rose is the founder of JV Zoo, and they have conducted over $200 million in transactions at their company. So it's great having you here.
Great to be here.
All right.
All right.
So let's just begin with share the craziest, weirdest, untold story from the internet underworld of what not to do or something scary you've seen happen.
I think one of the craziest stories is, Millionaire Within is a combination of stories about successes and failures. Mainly more failures than successes. One of the things that was kind of a pet peeve of mine is people look at the success you have with a company like JV Zoo, and they're like, "Oh, you're so lucky." So I started thinking, nobody was saying I was lucky when I was, losing my ass, when I was getting punched in the face, here or there. Nobody said I was lucky back then. So I decided to write a book about it. And as far as crazy stories go, wow, there's so many of them. I think one of them was back in the days of the online poker world, we created an app that allowed you to use social media to play poker, and my partners pulled out of that at the last second to put their money into something else because they thought nobody would ever play poker on social media and use prizes that they win from sponsors. And next thing you know, a company called Zynga started that very same concept about 6 months later, and they've only done about $3 or $4 billion in revenue.
Right. So that's a bad example of pulling out too soon. What's another one of like someone that you've seen who had like massive success and then a massive failure due to something that could have been prevented? Can something pop in mind?
I have a personal story about that. I had an online auction site that I was building back in the early days of eBay, and it was a great auction site. It wasn't meant to compete with eBay. It was meant to be just sort of a small niche auction site. And I was watching the news one time, CNN, and I see this news story about Kevin Mitnick, the famed hacker that had just been released from prison.
Yep.
And he was selling some items of his, like a prison ID card, on eBay and Yahoo Auctions and a few other places. And they all kicked him off. They said they didn't want to do business with him. So I thought, hey, this is a great opportunity to get some PR. So I get him on the phone and I said, let's sell your prison ID card on our auction site. And we set it up. Within about 24 hours, my phone was ringing off the hook, press from all around the world.
Yeah.
We put out a little press release, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, it received a call from AP Newswire, and from there it just snowballed. Within about 2 days, we had about 6 million people an hour coming to the site. It was insanity. I had more signups than I could ever imagine. The site was blowing up in a 2-3 day period, and I get a call from my hosting company saying, we need to do something about this. The hosting bill for that week was well over $40,000. And I said, listen, just bear with me till the end of the month. We're going to monetize this. No, we need you to pay right now. So it was a situation where I really didn't know how to monetize the traffic at the time. So, if I knew then what I know now, of course, things would have been different. But within about a week or so after this big media frenzy, the site was no more.
Wow. So the bottom line is here you have this unbelievable opportunity and you just weren't able to, like you said, you weren't able to monetize it.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about monetizing. And for someone who doesn't know what JV Zoo is, and I'll just throw this out here. I know we've set up a link already. It's for you, it's mrbz.com/EBR. That stands for E. Brian Rose. So you can learn more about Brian and his business and what he's got going on. But let's go in. What is JV Zoo? What's it do and who's it for?
Sure. JV Zoo allows anybody that sells anything that is digitally downloadable to sell on our platform. And what we do is we match you up with our army of affiliate marketers that will promote that product for a commission. Right. So if you have an ebook or a piece of software or some training videos, anything in the infotainment business as well, that you want to get out to a large audience, we have the affiliates that have mailing lists, that have social media followings, that they'll get what's called an affiliate link and mail it out to their crowd and say, hey, this is why you should buy this. And it's like having an army of salespeople working for you. And we have hundreds of thousands of affiliates.
It's awesome. And so it's really one of the fastest ways to get in business and also get your content distributed, shipped. I mean, really, it's a great make money strategy or monetization strategy.
Absolutely.
So let's go on. I'd say what I'd be curious from your point of view, now that you've seen hundreds of thousands, if not millions of transactions going through your systems, what are the top pieces of advice, if you're going to share some advice to someone who's either about to or wants to get started online or could be experienced? And then what are if you had 3 never do's, what would they be after you've just seen stuff blow up, both in a positive and a negative
Well, I think that the internet is a great way to share information. And look at Google. Google's the #1 site on the internet for a reason, because people are searching for things. They're searching for information. And people are willing to pay for information. And everybody out there, no matter what you do, has a story to tell, has something that they know better than somebody else. And I think that this is the time right now where anybody can package up information and sell it. Because there's always somebody that wants to learn how to build a birdhouse, somebody that wants to learn how to collect bottle caps, or whatever it is that you know something about. There's somebody out there that's willing to buy information on that. So I think if I were to give advice to somebody that was just coming on board onto the internet, is find out what you're good at and what you're interested in, and then start figuring out ways of packaging that information and getting it out to others. JVZoo makes it easy to do stuff like that. There's other sites as well. Now, as far as the second part of the question was 3 things never to do.
Yeah, the 3 nevers and the 3 to-dos. So again, I'm going to be even more specific. Think in terms of a story you could tell right now of a common mistake that you just see it happen over and over again. If someone would just be like, oh my God, there's a simple solution to prevent this stupid mistake from happening. Think of a story. And on the other hand, it's like, if there were you've seen so many transactions take place, and if you thought through some of your most successful customers who've sold the most things consistently, and then they come back and they do it again and again and again. In other words, they're clearly doing what works over and over again. What are the patterns that you see in the successes and the failures consistently?
Well, I think that when people come on board on the internet and they say, I want to make money, first thing they do is they Google how to make money online, and they find all these courses, and they start buying these courses, and they buy them again and again and again. And the problem with buying courses and just looking for the next course to buy and the next course to buy without actually doing something is you're never building anything. You're just learning and learning and learning. There comes a time where you stop learning and start having to execute what you've learned. So, the basics of selling online is the same as it's always been throughout the history of time, and that's find a bunch of people that are interested in something and then sell that to that
So it really
person.
comes down to find a buying audience.
Find a buying audience and then sell them what they're looking for. Whether they need it, whether they want it, whether it's a luxury or something that's going to cure their acne or whatever it is, find out what they need and sell it to them.
Okay, so hot trends, tips that you're seeing right now. So again, you're exposed to a large database of what's selling right now.
Okay.
Let's talk about the top 3 hot selling niches or areas that you see that are evergreen-ish as well. What are some of the big ones that you're routinely
I do
seeing?
see a lot of trends, over the years. You've seen the trends. Last year, a lot of the people that were marketers online wanted to know how to sell T-shirts online. So there were a lot of software that was help you design T-shirts, and then there was a lot of programs that would teach you how to sell more T-shirts. So that seemed to be kind of the trend.
Is it dead now?
Moving forward. Is
it oversaturated?
It's certainly not dead now. It's just like, you see the fads of marketing, just like you would see the fashion fads in a high school. You see that in marketing.
Well, give me another one.
I'll say right now is probably Snapchat live video is the trend right now.
And that's making money with Snapchat.
Making money with Snapchat with live video.
Great. What's another one?
Software is always big.
What's it for example?
An example of software would be WordPress plugins. WordPress is the easiest way to create a blog site or content management site.
And let's go a little bit deeper. So WordPress plugin that does what is a really hot seller?
I think WordPress plugins that will share your content, tap into social media, those are really hot.
So content distribution.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, great. And then let's do a giant steaming turd, something that people start focusing on. It's a bad idea. It fails just about every time. Have you seen some good stinkers?
Sure. Well, I think that anybody that tries to copy what somebody else is doing identically, those you see that all the time happening online. Whether it's with podcasts, whether it's with shows, whether it's with just email marketing, where they just try to exactly copy somebody. And I think that the idea of selling, the idea of putting yourself out there, especially with the internet, and there's so much personality into it these days, where everybody's a superstar. You have to be yourself. And I think the people that are more real and tell their experiences, rather than just copy and pasting some sales pitch to an email list that they built, just say, hey, here's my experience with this product that I'm trying to sell you. Here's my wife's experience. Here's my friend's experience. Here's why it didn't work. Here's why it did work. Here's how it should work for you. And if you fit into this category, then you should buy this. That is the best way to sell.
Right.
In a noisy online market where everybody's trying to sell you something.
It's great. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. Last question for you is, why should someone pick up and read Millionaire Within? Let's say the big takeaway.
Okay. The big takeaway is, it's a story of stumbles, but each chapter has its own takeaways of where I went wrong and how you could not go wrong, how you can avoid that pitfall. So it's just chapter after chapter of where I almost got to, this huge success, and then this is the reason why it didn't happen. Don't let it happen to you. And then, of course, the, secret to my success, everybody's secret is going to be different, but, my path is in there. And if you can take some steps, that I took that worked, great, fantastic. I hope I can help you.
Good.
And it's been well received from my audience, so hopefully it can help some people out there.
Awesome. All right. Well, here's what I want you to do right now. Head on over to mrbz.com/EBR. You'll learn more about Brian Rose and everything that's going on, or as he's known, EBR. So thanks for being here, man.
All right. Great.
Nice job.